Napa know-how.
A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, waterbed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Episode 764 of No BS Job Search Advice Radio. This is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com and NoBSCoachingAdvice.com. And welcome. I was speaking to an old friend of mine not long ago named Joe Rajeski, who owns a firm in New York. And Joe and I were talking about video interviews, and out of this conversation that we had came this show. So it was originally done as a video. I converted it into a podcast, as I'm doing with a lot of my stuff these days. So don't be surprised if occasionally I reference video or Skype or something along those lines in the context of how this has been recorded. But this is more about video interviewing that I think you'll find helpful. Please give the show 5 stars in iTunes or Stitcher. It does help other people find the show. And if you have a question for me, I'm happy to answer it, but I'm getting a lot, and what I decided to do is ask you to pay me $25 through PayPal. My address there is thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. Pay the $25. Send me an email with your question. I'll be happy to answer it on the show or as a video. Send you a link to it, and money will go to charity as a result of your contribution. So with that, let's get going. And I thought I would do a video for you about video interviews based upon a message and exchange I had with an old friend of mine, Joe Rajeski from Avenue X Group. Joe has been using a service that helps his firm evaluate people who are being considered for positions. And he offered a couple of ideas that I think are really helpful, one of which I've mentioned in previous videos. But let me just go into his 4 points. The first one is, of course, as I mentioned in previous ones, pay attention to the background. Now, I've got a messy office today, but from the standpoint of what you can see on camera, you're not able to see that I've got a lot of stuff on my desk right now, and that behind me on a coffee table, there's even more stuff. So just be aware of your backdrop when you set things up. Look at the camera, look behind you, get a sense of what people will see, clean it up. So that part is obvious. Second part, and this was a great observation, and that is webcam quality is much better than mobile phone quality. If you can, put yourself in a position where you're using a webcam rather than your mobile. If you can't, well, just recognize your video quality isn't going to be as good. It may be a little grainier, and that impacts how people see you. Next thing he suggested was, even if you're doing this on the weekend, dress professionally from the waist up. Now, recognize that as you're looking at me now, you're only seeing a part of me, right? You can't see. There's a joke I remember a friend of mine who was on-air talent on one of the cable networks told me, and he always joked about how people wondered whether he was wearing pants when he was behind his desk. And I'll simply say, no one can tell how you're dressed below the waist. So from the waist up, you want to be dressed professionally. Guys, that means a suit and tie. It just impresses more organizations if you do that, particularly if it's on the weekend. You'll stand out, and in a good way. So, if you're interviewing for a firm where that's part of the culture, you dress that way. Otherwise, it's great business casual, not sloppy dress down stuff. So I'll just simply say, for women, you know what I'm talking about. What makes you look terrific, even if that means putting the makeup on. So very simply, dress well. Another thing is and this is the last point I'll make, and I think it's a funny one. Don't bring a cup of coffee to the interview. The idea that you're sitting there sipping, while you're interviewing doesn't look well for you. When I do my podcasts, I'm not on camera. If I am on camera, I'm not, because I record using a service like blab.im. I'm not going to, have be in the position where I'm drinking my tea. I drink tea instead of coffee. I'm not going to go into that story. I'll just simply say that I don't have my tea there during the interview. It's off to a side. I'll come back to it later. Certainly not while I'm on camera. Sometimes when I'm in a small window where my guest is the primary focus, I may take a sip. But that's not going to be the case with you. You're always going to be on. So there's no situation where you put yourself in the position where you're sitting there swigging your coffee while you're answering questions. It's a distraction for the interviewer that they haven't learned to overcome yet and probably never will. So remember, your game plan is to always execute at an elite level. And in doing so, how do you want to present yourself? How are you going to demonstrate not only that you have the knowledge and skill, but that you have the social savvy in order to perform well in this venue? And firms extrapolate that over how you're going to behave in your organization. So how you dress, how you behave, how you communicate, how you appear with the stuff behind you goes a long way towards setting a tone. So that's today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, here are a few other ways that we can connect with one another. The first one is if you're an executive and interested in one-on-one coaching, email me at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. In the subject line, put the word coaching. So this way I know what it's about. Next, if you're not an executive, the best way to reach out to me is through jobsearchcoachinghq.com. There I have curated information from around the web that you can watch, listen to, read, primarily my own information, but again, there's some stuff from other people that's there with their permission. Also, if we are not connected on LinkedIn, send a connection request to me at linkedin.com/IN/the-big-game-hunter. Mention that you listen to the show because I love to hear from people who listen to the show. It just puts a big smile on my face, which reminds me, Facebook. Connect with me on Facebook. Look for Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and give me 5 stars. Subscribe to the page. You'll get lots of information sent to you daily with different pieces of advice for you. And lastly, because I don't really mention this on the show all that much, in addition to job search coaching, I do executive and what I call business life coaching. Business life coaching, where I work with self-employed people who have a lunatic for a boss. People like your wife, husband, partner, friends of yours who may be either wrestling with something in their business and need an advisor to work with, or people who are doing extremely well and they need to have someone to talk with because business is just exploding for them. So again, reach out to me through Jeff Altman at thebiggamehunter.us. I'll get back to you. We'll figure out a time to speak, and I look forward to helping you. Hope you enjoyed this again, and have a great day. Take care.